Hello, Terminal students, and welcome. Have you ever really stopped to think about all your stuff? I mean, where does it all come from, and where does it all go when you're done with it? Well, today we are going to deconstruct a web documentary that asked exactly that question and went completely viral, Annie Leonard's The Story of Stuff. It's an absolutely perfect case study for your AMC course, so let's get you prepped for those assessments.
Right out of the gate, she hits us with this. Just think about that for a second. 99% of the things we buy are thrown away within 6 months. That's not just a number, is it? It's a bombshell. It's designed to make you jolt upright and realize, okay, we have a problem. It immediately frames this whole issue as a crisis.
So why this documentary? Well, it slots perfectly into our AMC theme, Événement et Mutation. And even more specifically, it nails Acts 2, which is all about the shift from simply protecting nature to creating a genuine ecological transition. This video isn't just about facts. It's a powerful story designed to push us towards that very transition. And that brings us to our big question for today. It's really two questions in one. First, how does she actually build her argument? What are the narrative and rhetorical tricks she uses? And second, to get those top marks in the back, what are the complexities, the other points of view that we need to bring into our analysis? So, here's our plan. First, we'll unpack her main argument. Then, we're going to get into the really interesting part, analyzing how she makes that argument so persuasive. After that, we'll do what all good analysts do. We'll bring in some counterarguments to get a fuller, more nuanced picture. Let's get started. Okay, let's dive right in. What is Annie Leonard's big idea? Well, she builds her entire argument around a really simple but powerful concept that she calls the materials economy. Think about the phone in your pocket. It started with metals being mined from the earth. Then it was put together in a factory, shipped halfway around the world. You use it for a while, and then what? It ends up in a drawer, or worse, in the trash. That right there is the linear system she's talking about. It's a one-way street. Take, make, waste. And her central point is brutally simple. You can't run a linear system on a finite planet indefinitely. It just doesn't work. And she breaks this story down into 5 very clear, very easy to follow steps. It starts with extraction, or as she puts it, trashing the planet. Then production, where toxic chemicals get introduced. After that, distribution, which is all about selling things as cheaply and quickly as possible. Then comes us, consumption, the engine driving the whole thing. And it all ends in disposal with these massive mountains of waste. It's simple, it's dramatic, and you have to admit, it's a very effective way to tell a story. So we understand the argument she's making, but for your analysis, for the back, it's not enough to just summarize. We have to dig deeper and ask, how does she tell that story? What are the clever, persuasive choices she makes that make this message so incredibly powerful? First, just look at the style. This isn't some slick, glossy corporate film. It's just simple, hand-drawn cartoons on a whiteboard. Now, that is a very deliberate choice. It feels friendly, accessible, almost like a friend is passionately explaining something to you. It makes these huge, complex ideas feel simple and personal, and it gets us to lower our guard and just listen. And then she hits you with these numbers, and they're framed for maximum impact. Listen to this. In just the last 30 years, we've used up 1/3 of the planet's entire natural resource base. And then she adds that one final, chilling word. Gone. She lets that hang in the air. It's language designed to create a sense of real, pressing urgency. And here's where it gets really interesting. Look at the language she uses to describe the distribution stage. She doesn't use neutral economic terms like products or goods. No, she calls it toxic, contaminated junk. Junk. A word like that isn't just descriptive, it's a moral judgment. It's a powerful emotional shortcut that immediately positions us against the system she's describing. So if you put it all together, you can see she's using this potent cocktail of techniques. You've got the alarming stats, the emotional and informal language, the simple good guys versus bad guys story, and that constant use of we to make us feel like we're all part of this. It's a masterclass in persuasive storytelling. But, and for a high-level analysis, this is a very important but, is the story of stuff the whole story? To really show your critical thinking skills, we have to push back a little and look at what this simple, powerful narrative might be leaving out. You see, while Leonard presents this very clear activist message that the system is broken and needs a revolution, other people see it very differently. Some critics, for instance, frame her work as a political project with a specific agenda. And then you have government reports and technical experts who look at the very same problem and say, hold on, this isn't a simple morality tale. It's an incredibly complex engineering, economic, and policy challenge. For example, a UK government report on waste doesn't just say we waste too much. It gets really specific. It sets out measurable policy goals, like the Cordalt commitment to reduce food waste by 20%. This shows a totally different approach, not just telling an emotional story, but creating detailed, technical plans to solve logistical problems. And this, right here, illustrates just how incredibly complex the alternative is. Think about it. Moving from that linear take, make, waste model to a truly circular one where resources get used again and again, well, that's not just about us deciding to consume less. It requires massive technological innovation, new business models, complex government regulations, and huge logistical infrastructure. Leonard's powerful story, by its very nature, has to skate over a lot of that complexity. All right, so we have Leonard's powerful, simple thesis, and we have the more complex, nuanced antithesis. Now for the most important part. How do we bring these two together into the kind of sophisticated analysis that's going to really stand out in your exam? I want you to burn this structure into your memory. Idea, example, explanation. It sounds simple, but it is an incredibly powerful tool. You state your point clearly, you back it up with evidence from the document, and then you explain why it matters. It's the key to a clear, convincing argument. Now let's build it up. You start with your idea. Leonard uses rhetoric to dramatize the issue. Your example, the quote about toxic, contaminated junk. Then, your explanation of its effect. It makes the issue feel simple and moral. But then, and this is the crucial step for a top grade, you add the antithesis. You say, however, this simplification overlooks the messy, technical reality of solving the problem. See? That four-step process takes your analysis from good to great. Okay, we have pulled apart the story of stuff from all sorts of angles. Let's bring it all back together and make sure we've locked in the main points. So, what's the bottom line? The story of stuff is a brilliant piece of communication. It's persuasive, it's clear, and it's powerful. But it is not the whole story. And your job as a critical analyst is to appreciate its power while also being sharp enough to see the complexities it leaves out. You're not just a passive viewer, you're an analyst. Which brings us all the way back to our guiding question. Let's look at it one last time, because now I think we're ready to give a really solid answer. And there it is. The documentary uses a simple, emotional story to get its point across very effectively. The real challenge for us as analysts is to hold two ideas in our head at once, to recognize how effective that story is, while also understanding all the messy, complicated, real-world details of technology, politics, and economics that it doesn't have time to get into. And I'll leave you with one final thought, something to connect this to our other themes. What actually creates change in the world? Is it the simple, powerful moral story from the activists that gets everyone fired up? Or is it the complex, data-driven, technical plan from the policymaker? That tension between the story and the plan is at the heart of how we try to solve almost every major problem we face today. Something to think about. Thanks for your attention.